Good morning, friends. I'm Rabbi Miller from Temple Shalom, and I want to thank all those who are joining us today for our Holocaust remembrance on this time when we remember and observe Yom Hashoah. Each year in Israel on Yom Hashoah, there is a beautiful moment when a siren sounds and everyone across the country stops. Whatever they are doing, whether they're driving, walking, shopping, in the middle of business, everyone stops and pauses. And in those moments of silence, there is remembrance. There is an awareness that we stand on the shoulders of generations before us and that we have a sacred obligation to remember the terror and tragedy of the Holocaust, to remember the lessons that were learned through those tragic events, and to carry on the legacy that's been given to us. Here in this part of Southwest Florida, we are gathering together as a sacred community today to observe and remember Yom HaShoah, our Holocaust Remembrance Day. I want to thank the Holocaust Museum and Cone Education Center, Jewish Federation of Greater Naples, Jen Shoah, as well as the clergy who are participating on this day, Rabbi Boxman, Rabbi Chorney, Rabbi Gross, Rabbi Herman, and Cantor Azu, all of us a part of this service because we understand the importance of coming together as a community at a time like this, at a time when we need to be united with each other and be with one another, to remember, to not be divided or to separate ourselves, but to be together. Those of you who are joining us also understand that message. And you should know that the service that we are doing today was available on the webpage of the Jewish Federation and in the emails you received with the Zoom link. We encourage you to please download that as well, or to open it up on your device so that you can follow along in our service and participate in some of our readings and prayers today as collectively we remember and we will not forget. Truly, friends, at this time of increased anti-Semitism around the world, at this time when sadly we know that our survivors are slowly disappearing, at this time when we have learned over the last year how important the lessons of the Holocaust truly are in our lives, recognizing that our words and how we treat others matters, that it's important for us to treat people as equals and to remember that we ourselves were once ostracized, pushed to the side, minimized, dehumanized, and that we must treat everyone with respect. At this time, more than any other, we feel that powerful obligation to remember and never forget. We feel an obligation to not just remember for ourselves, but to carry on the legacy of the generations who came before us. A legacy that begins with our survivors and passes down to the generations after them. And so I now turn this over to Suzanne Cohn to lead us in a blessing of remembrance and a passing of the legacy.
We, the living survivors, entrust the legacy of the Shoah to you, our children, grandchildren, and all those who have come after the fire. We want you to vow that the sacred memory of our suffering and our martyrdom shall never be scorned or erased. We want you to recall the heroism of Jewish resistance, remembering the shining example of sacrifice and kindness from the righteous Gentiles. Remember the racial prejudice and discrimination that led to the Holocaust. By not forgetting, you will pay tribute to those who were destroyed. By not forgetting, you will ensure for those who live and those who are yet to be born that we intend never to allow such inhumanity to happen again. This is the heritage we, the survivors, entrust to your custody for safekeeping for all generations to come. Together, I know we accept this obligation of this legacy.
I'm reading this on behalf of the second generation. We are the first generation born after the darkness. Through our parents' memories, words, and silence, we are linked to that annihilated Jewish existence whose echoes permeate our consciousness. We dedicate this pledge to you, our parents, who suffered and survived, to our grandparents who perished in the flames, to our vanished brothers and sisters, more than 1 million Jewish children so brutally murdered, to all 6 million whose unyielding spiritual and physical resistance, even in the camps and ghettos, exemplifies our people's commitment to life. All 2Gs who are watching, please read with me. We pledge to remember. And now we're passing to the third generation.
We shall teach our children to preserve forever that uprooted Jewish spirit which could not be destroyed. We shall tell the world of the depths to which humanity can sink and the heights which were attained even in hell itself. We shall fight anti-Semitism and all forms of racial hatred by our dedication to freedom throughout the world.
We affirm our commitment to the state of Israel and further the Jewish life in our homeland.
And together,
we pledge ourselves to the oneness of the Jewish people. We are your children. We are here.
I'm here to share a video that was created by our 6th and 7th grade students as they reflected on their experience studying about the Holocaust. Hi, I'm Rabbi Boxman. I'm the director of Yesh, our youth engagement program at Temple Shalom. It has been our tradition for many years now to include a unit on the Holocaust for our 6th grade students. During the course of the unit, the students learn about the history, visit the Holocaust Museum, hear from inspiring speakers, and meet Holocaust survivors. At the culmination of the unit, the students write reflections and participate in an annual Yom Hashoah ceremony. Because our 6th grade students were unable to participate in a Yom Hashoah ceremony last year due to COVID-19, we've invited them to participate this year along with our current 6th grade students. For this year's reflection, we've asked the students to share something they will never forget from their experience learning about the Holocaust. They may share a detail about the stories they heard, or simply an emotion they experienced while learning about the horrors of the Holocaust. We spent a lot of time discussing the importance of memory and how we must retell the stories of the survivors so that they will never be forgotten. Please join us now in listening to the students as they share what they will never forget.
I will never forget when one of the Holocaust survivors said he was kicked out of school. He had no idea why it happened.
I'll never forget the atrocities the Germans have committed. I'll never forget hearing one of the survivors share the story of when he was forced to leave on the train and never saw his father again.
I will never forget the heroes who helped the Jews to survive. They saved lots of lives. It is amazing to know that non-Jewish people cared so much and were willing to risk their lives to help save the Jews.
I will never forget hearing the story of a survivor sharing that his father died in the Warsaw Ghetto and he never got to see him again.
I know that I will always remember the personal and painful stories of the Holocaust survivors we met. So many of them were my age or even younger. I cannot imagine going through what they experienced. I will especially remember the bravery shown by Mr. Nassin when he went to the concentration camps at 6 as well as the courage of all those who kept going when they were separated from their parents and alone.
I feel so lucky that I do not have to live through the horrible experiences that I've heard about. I realize now that I would not be here today if my great-grandfather had not escaped to America.
While we commit to remembering the stories and retelling them for generations to come, we also commit to doing our part to ensure that a tragedy like the Holocaust never happens again. Our students have recorded all of the ways they intend to make the world a better place.
I will do my part to heal the world by passing down the stories of the Holocaust and doing my best to ensure that it never happens again.
I will do my part to keep the stories of the survivors alive, educate others, and remind everyone that we cannot become complacent. We must care about the conditions and lives of other people.
I'll do my part to heal the world by spreading awareness, standing up for those who cannot, and doing the right thing at all times.
I will do my part to heal the world by not letting people forget the tragedies of the Holocaust.
I will do my part to heal the world by doing good deeds.
I will do my part to heal the world by doing good deeds and helping others.
Together with our amazing students, we commit to remember and continue telling the stories. We also commit to making the world a better place for all people to live. Thank you to Mr. Chad Atkins for leading our 6th grade unit on the Holocaust, and to all of the speakers and survivors who took the time to share their stories with us. We are very grateful. We continue now with the words of El Malay Rachamim. El Malay Rachamim, Shochein B'maromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Ashchina, Im Kedoshim, Utorim, Kezohar Kiamazhirim, Lenishmot Yakirenu, Shalchu Leolamam, Bal Harachamim Yastireim, Beseter Knafav Lolamim, B'yitzror Chaim Nishmatam, Adonai Hu Nachalatam, V'yanuchu b'shalom al mishkavam. V'nomar amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the souls of all our brethren, men, women, and children of the house of Israel who perished. May their memory endure, inspiring truth and loyalty in our lives. May their souls thus be bound up in the bond of life. May they rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.
Many of us know the familiar custom that when a loved one passes, we light a yahrzeit candle on the anniversary of their death. But what do we do for today when we cannot remember one or two, but millions whose lives ended in tragedy and horror during the Shoah? Were we to gather a candle for each life snuffed out, we could not possibly have space for all, much less the ability to light them. So we condense our symbols into 6 candles, symbolic of the 6 million Jews killed during the Holocaust. In a moment, as I light the candles behind me, I know that all of us will vow to never forget the lives of the Jewish women, men, and children who are symbolized by these flames. They were tortured and brutalized by human beings who acted like beasts. Their lives were taken in cruelty. May we be inspired to learn more about our 6 million brothers and sisters as individuals and as communities, to recall their memory throughout the year so that they will not suffer a double death and be lost in time. May we recall not only the terror of their deaths, but also the splendor of their lives. May the memory of their lives inspire us to hallow our own lives and to live meaningful lives so that we may help to ensure the part of who they were shall endure always. As I light these 6 lights, I invite you to sit in silence to reflect on the memory and legacy of the 6 million.
Sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst zum letzten Weg. Himmeln bleiben, Hilfe stehlen, blaue Tag. Kommen weg nur uns der ausgebänkte Show. Es wird der Punkt und der Trott mir seinen da. Kommen weg nur uns der ausgebänkte Show. Es wird der Punkt und der Trott mir seinen da. Never say that you have reached the very end. Through leaden skies a bitter future may portend. For the hour for which we've yearned shore for which we've yearned will yet arrive, and our marching steps will thunder, we survive.
We continue with the Kaddish for the camps. Today we remember many of those places where our brothers and sisters perished because of man's inhumanity to man. We are grief-stricken, recalling our brothers and sisters who no longer walk the earth, cut down whether in youth or in old age by the vicious hand of evil. We look at God and to each other to find comfort with the hope that we will be sustained through our sorrow. In testimony to the unbroken faith that has linked generations to generations, we now recite the mourner's Kaddish.
יתקדל
Lutz,
ויתקדש
Wars,
שמי רבה
Warsaw,
בעלמא דברה חירותי
Bogdanovka,
וימליך מלכותי
Ravensbrück,
בחיי חון וביומי חון
Vilna,
ובחיי דכל בית ישראל
Treblinka,
ועגלה ובזמן קריב
Chelmno,
ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח
Belzec,
ויתפאר ויתרומם
Buchenwald,
ויתנשא ויתהדר
Sobibor,
ויתעלה ויתעלל.
Majanic,
שמי דקודשה בריחו
Mauthausen,
לעילה
Babi Yar,
מן כל ברכתה בשירתה.
Bergen-Belsen,
תושבחתה ונחמתה.
Dachau,
דאמירן ועלמה.
Auschwitz,
ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Memory is critical to the Jewish community. From Abraham, Moses, and the Exodus from Egypt, to the revelation of Torah and our sacred texts, memory is the foundation of the Jewish community. We are constantly reminded to remember our history, our ancestors, loved ones who no longer are with us. We dedicate our holidays and festivals, prayers and cultural experiences to remembering. The Baal Shem Tov's words grace the exit of Yad Vashem in Yerushalayim. Forgetfulness leads to exile, while remembrance is the secret of redemption. It is fitting then that the Holocaust is something we demand our community and the world to remember. The lives lost, the whole communities changed or lost to us forever, the lives saved, all deserve to be part of our collective memories and words.
Our program today derives its name, its title, and its affirmation of those consigned to oblivion from the marvelous poem by the Israeli poet Zelda, written 70 years ago. She wrote, L'chol ish yesh shem, shenatanu Elohim. Each of us has a name given by God and given by our parents. Each of us has a name given by our stature and our smile, and given by what we wear. Each of us, with those members of our community who have chosen to affirm life by gathering together even from afar for the purpose of hearing the sacred testimony of the survivors, of bearing witness to the meaningfulness of the ongoing corporate existence of the Jewish people, and of rescuing from oblivion the memory of the unknown myriads of the household of Israel who perished so long ago. Barchenu, Adonai Eloheinu, bless us, O Eternal One, as we prepare now to go forth from recollection of night into the warm light of day. And as we pledge ourselves anew to let 1,000 candles dispel the darkness of our world by letting our noblest aspirations and our worthiest deeds shine forth for their unfinished lives. Every blessing to all of you as we now conclude our program.